I did a video a few weeks ago now about the little areas of damp that I've got in the walls here in this bay, and also slightly to the left here. You can actually see just in the plaster where it's wet, and it's wet and tacky, and yeah, the moisture meter kind of indicates right down to the block work that it's wet there. That black bit, that's actually the DPC that is sat on. I've just been testing the wood the wood flooring here. Further away it's a bit drier, about 6.6, something like that. This is testing the wood moisture. And then a bit further in, over to the wall, it was a bit higher, more like 10 or 12. And then just for comparison, I put my moisture meter into the this wood here, skirting, and yeah, it was 5, just to kind of get a difference, to see, okay, that should be dry. What is it? It's 5. I don't believe it's rising damp that is causing this. It's very localized as well, because it goes left slightly and it's dry. The moisture meter doesn't, you know, it reads a bit of moisture, but no way as much as over here. You can see it's very localized, where it's darkened. And then other parts of the bay are kind of okay, but then you've got this part here, and this part here, and there, which is basically like sand. It's coming out, just falling out. So it's quite localized parts. When I got this skirting board off, I tested it both sides. It was pretty dry, even though the brickwork was, or the block work rather, was wet. So yeah, the actual skirting didn't appear saturated. If we just go outside quickly, I made a decision to rip all of this, all these slabs up, and put in a soak away. But before I did that, I decided to re-mortar where the mortar kind of wasn't very good, or in this corner here there was no mortar at all. There's just a gap right down there. That was just a gap. So you've just got like the paving finishing, and then you've got a gap, and then you had the brickwork. And I thought, if water goes down there, it's not going to go anywhere apart from just up against the wall potentially. So I've done a kind of fairly crude job of remortering, and trying to pitch it at an angle to get the water to come away from the house. The paving is on a slight gradient, but it's not ideal, because you should have 15 centimeters gap from the ground level up to the DPC, which is there, but actually you can see it's basically almost just a brick's width. So that's, I don't know what that is, maybe 10 centimeters or something, but it's not enough. This ground level here should be lower, at least 15. And if you're going to, you know, really you need it to be significantly lower. You can see the DPC there as well, all along. But the wall doesn't look particularly saturated, and interesting, it's wet now. It's not wet. You can see it's not actually wet. And it's all dry there as well, because the house is protecting it. So I was thinking that loads of water is sat in that going in, because that inside there, that's where the damp is, in that block work on the inside. But this is all dry. And that wall will be dry as well. So I'm not sure, I'm a bit perplexed about that. And like I say, I don't think it's rising damp. Here we had holes actually in this concrete shelf, and also here as well. and round here. So I filled the mortar, filled with mortar, and then did a really crude job of resealing the entire window frame, and also resealing up here, and then doing, not so much on this side, but on the other side there were this mortar was coming out, falling out, so I remortared where needed, and then did and resealed. That was about 3 or 4 weeks ago on a good dry weekend, but then it started raining again, so it may well have helped with the problem, but actually, you know, this is not particularly wet. You know, you can see it's a little bit wet actually. So I don't know whether I fixed the problem or not, and that block work will take quite a long time to dry out, I've been told. What could be happening is if there's a tie on the inside that's rusted, inside of the cavity that is, maybe this wall is getting wet and water is bridging through onto the inside of the block work. There's also cavity filled, not only in the walls but in the bay as well. It's also possible that the actual cavity filling insulation is acting as a bridge, but I would expect that more to be damp across the entire bay, and it isn't. It's only in localised areas, which, in fact, this side there wasn't any damp here, despite there being a big gaping hole in here and it's not being sealed. This side here and here is where you do have, or where there was the damp, which of course I've now filled in. So basically, kind of that's the corner. So in here and in here and down here, you can see discoloration, big gaping hole there. This wood itself is pretty good nick, not dry. The windowsill on the inside looks pretty good condition, not wet. No signs of being wet particularly. And this is an old house. I've been stripping the walls. The wallpaper has been on here for 50 years. These windows, aluminium windows within a wooden frame, are probably 40 years old. So it's a bit of a perplexing one. What I really need is for this block work to dry out completely, to find out whether the issue is continuing or whether I've managed to fix it. Anyway, any thoughts? Put a comment.